يقول الله جل جلاله: يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا ضربتم في سبيل الله فتبينوا ولا تقولوا لمن ألقى إليكم السلام لست مؤمنا تبتغون عرض الحياة الدنيا. يقول المفسرون أن سبب نزول هذه الآية كما يذكر ذلك عبد الله بن عباس أن رجلا من بني سليم مر على بعض أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من أعدائهم، وكان معه غنمه فسلم عليهم. سلم ذلكم المشرك على هؤلاء الصحابة من أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، فقال بعضهم لبعض إنما قال ذلك يتعوذ منا، يعني يخاف أن نقتله، وإلا هو من المشركين من أعدائهم. فقاموا إليه فقتلوه وأخذوا غنمه وساقوه إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. فأنزل الله هذه الآية: يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا ضربتم في سبيل الله فتبينوا يعني تثبت، فتبينوا ولا تقولوا لمن ألقى إليكم السلام لست مؤمنا تبتغون عرض الحياة الدنيا. فزجرهم الله وبين لهم أن المؤمن ديدنه التبين. My dearest brothers and sisters, Allah Azza wa Jalla in Surah An-Nisa, in this very verse I just recited, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is saying, which means, oh who you believe, when you are away defending yourselves. Remember, this incident is about, or this verse is about an incident happened when the companions of the Prophet ﷺ were in war against other tribes of disbelievers and al-mushrikeen and pagans. So Allah is saying, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, who you believe, when you are away defending yourselves, seek clarity. Fatabayyanu, seek clarity. Don't haste into actions. Imagine, subhanallah al-azim, nowadays when there are wars, there are no principles whatsoever. Children, women, innocent people all go. But those times, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, contrary to the pagans themselves, He was giving the guidance to the believers, the Prophet and his companions. So He said, when you are defending yourself, tabayyanu, be careful and seek clarity. وَلَا تَقُولُ, and don't say to somebody who, even if they're from the pagans, from those who are exercising harm on you, if they greet you, accept it from them. Even if they are from the pagans, accept it from them. وَلَا تَقُولُ لِمَنْ أَلْقَى إِلَيْكُمُ السَّلَامَ, don't say to them, no, you are one of them, so we're going to treat you just like one of them. No, Allah said, فَتَبَيَّنُوا وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ أَلْقَى إِلَيْكُمُ السَّلَامَ لَسْتَ مُؤْمِنًا تَبْتَغُونَ عَرَضَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. And you are after the materialism of this life. This incident, this verse was revealed because a man from a tribe was called Bani Sulaym. At the time of war, he passed by some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and he had his flock of sheep with him. And he greeted those people of Sahaba, those believers. He greeted him, he said, whatever he said. They said, look, he's just greeting us because he's trying to fool us. He's one of the pagans who's been fighting us and killing us. So they got up to that man and they killed him. And they took his flock of sheep to the Prophet ﷺ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, straight away He sent this divine revelation. Oh, who you believe, if you have faith, don't exercise this kind of behavior. If somebody, even if they are from the pagans, if they say Salamu alaikum, they greet you, accept it from them. Because greeting in those times, by the way, we need to know this, greetings at those times, in that particular situation in war, means they are conveying that they are peaceful and they are not part of the war, and they are coming to the deen itself. وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ أَلْقَى إِلَيْكُمُ السَّلَامَ لَسْتُ مُؤْمِنًا. He says, you're not from us, you're from them, and then don't do that again. What I want to talk about, Ikhwani, is this particular thing of seeking clarity. Even at the time of the Sahaba, they've done their mistakes as well. And their mistakes, like in this incident, it came from not seeking clarity. Now, when we look at our families, our societies, many conflicts we have is based on this particular element. We don't see clarity. You find two brothers or two sisters or group of people, even Muslims, they are in business partnership. And then all of a sudden the business is destroyed because of this particular thing. One of them said something or he did something, the rest hasted, acted on the basis of what he said, on the basis of his words or her words, and then destroyed the company. Many families, husband and wife, marriages are destroyed. Why? Because there's no seeking clarity. She said this, and then another word from here, another word from here, and then end the relationship. Sometimes with children, sometimes brotherhood. Allah said, فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Seek clarity. Al-uqala, ikhwani, al-uqala, mindful people, we call them in Lugha al-Arabiya al-uqala, from al-aql. You know what al-aql is? When you say mind, al-aql is the mind. If you try to see where this word derived from in English, mind is just mind. It's a word used for that. But in Arabic, we call it al-aql. Why? لأنه يعقل صاحبه من التصرف الأرعن. Because your mind is like a chain. It locks you. Why? Against hasting into reactions without thinking. So when you don't haste, you take time, you listen, you try to analyze properly to see what's going on with other etiquettes we have. I will come through, inshallah, we'll go through. That is called al-aql. And that's why al-Arab qadiman, they call al-aql al-hilm, ulul ahlam. People of the mind, they call them ahlul hilm, al-ahlam. Al-aql is called al-hilm. Why? Because al-hilm is what we call dabtun nafs, when you control yourself from acting on the basis of your emotions. That is called al-hilm. So because your mind leads you, if you have a good mind, it will lead you to not to haste and take time and step back and try to analyze correctly. That is called al-hilm. So because of that, they used to call the mind, they used to call it al-hilm. Otherwise, linguistically, al-aqlu laysa huwa al-hilm. If you watch programs, for instance, debates on TV, where there are two people debating, there is no area to think and analyze and listen to the other person. Sometimes while the person is still talking, they interfere and say what they want to say. Still, there's no space for thinking. That's why most of these programs are a waste of time. You're just wasting your time because there's no benefit you're going to benefit from this debate from between A and Z. Even Muslims. Why? It's not like having questions and answers. You benefit from those programs because there's a question, there's space to think, and there's an answer. But debates, you as a viewer, as somebody who's watching, you never benefit because they end up this person still saying what he's saying and this person is still saying what he's saying because their aim is to win. That's the exact thing what's happening in many of our houses. When there's a conflict between husband and wife or kind of problem, some issue, instead of stepping back and do what Allah has said, فَتَبَيَّنُوا, they just haste into the argument. Everyone is trying to win and prove the other wrong. And that's why there's no success. فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Now, with that being said, understanding is very important. We all know this. But understanding, ikhwani, is like a sail, flood. You know when there's a flood, a sailul arim, we call it in Arabic, a huge flood, if you don't put barriers in front of this sail, in front of this flooding, it will destroy everything. But when you put barriers, your aim is not to control, it's not to stop the flood itself, because that's not possible. But what you're trying to do is to take the water into certain directions. That's all what you want, until you get it back to the sea. If you can do that. That's, to me, that's the example I give to understanding. Understanding is very important, but it's like a flood. If you don't have barriers to control and to navigate the way how you are thinking about the incident, it's going to destroy the family, you're going to destroy your relationship, you're going to destroy even with your kids, with your neighbors, with your business partner. Same thing. What are these things that we control our fahm, this flood or flooding of understanding with? Number one, al-hilm. Inna Ibrahim la halimun awwahun munib. Allah Azza wa Jal described Ibrahim alayhi salam as Halim. Inna Ibrahim la Halimun awwahun munib. The first attribute Allah gave to Ibrahim alayhi salam is al-hilm. What is al-hilm? As I said, al-hilm is dabtun nafs. When you control yourself. You don't haste into reactions. It's called al-hilm. That's why the Prophet said to Ashaj Abdul Qais, one of the companions, he said to him, إن فيك خصلتين يحبهما الله الحلم والأناة. الحلم والأناة. The Prophet described, he said to one of the Sahaba, he was known as, that's not his name, but he was known as Ashaj Abdul Qais. He said to him, you have two attributes. Allah loves them, these two attributes. Number one, al-hilm. Al-hilm is what we're talking about. When you control yourself. When you feel, when there's pressure, so there is a problem, there is an issue, but you try to stay calm. As-sukoon. It's called as-sukoon. Stay calm. Step back. Take time. Don't haste into reaction. Think about it properly, and then you act. Think. That's number one, what we control our understanding with. Al-hilm. Taking it easy, slow down, and don't hasten into the action. Number two, husnul dhann. Husnul dhann is another attribute Allah Azza wa Jalla loves. And the Prophet ﷺ spoke a lot about husnul dhann. What is husnul dhann? Husnul dhann is when you try to think about a person or a situation in the best of manner. Optimism. Don't think in a negative way. Even if the first thing comes to your mind is something that is negative, don't go for it. Step back, take time. Don't haste into labeling that person or that action. Step back and think about it properly and thoroughly. This is very important. And thoroughly. Try to recall everything about that person. The Prophet said in hadith, لا يفرق مؤمن مؤمنة إن كره منها خلقا رضي منها آخر. The Prophet said, if you have a problem with your wife, don't focus on that particular thing that you don't like. That's what يفرق, not يفرق. يفرق. Why, Ya Rasulullah? He said, because, yes, you don't like this thing, but think about the good side of your missus, all the attributes that you are pleased with. Why? Because at the time of conflict, we don't think about good stuff, unfortunately. It's just like the flood I said to you. Our thinking is just going very fast. But when you step back and try to analyze properly, you're going to see the good side of the situation and the good side of that person. So it's very important to take into consideration every element that is part of that person or that situation. Husnul dhann, thinking good. So if you have al-hilm, which is, or you practice, because al-hilm, ikhwani, don't say, well, I am not that type of person. I am not. I'm a very hasty person, because if you say, this is how you are, you're going to remain like that. Psychologically, scientifically, it is known. If you keep saying to yourself, this is how I am, that's how you're going to stay. But if you say, I don't like this about myself, I'm going to change to the opposite, Allah Azza wa Jalla will give you the tawfiq and you will change bi'idhnillah. So we have al-hilm, and then you have husnul dhann. And husnul dhann, which is thinking good about the situation, thinking good about that person. This will help, inshallah, to become a better person, a better version of yourself, and you will control your reactions towards different events in your life, at home, outside, at work, in the masjid, wherever you are. You're going to start, inshallah, slowing down بإذن الله عز وجل. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فيا فوز المستغفرين. الحمد لله وبعد والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. إخواني, when we say something, sometimes we don't mean what we say. Sometimes we mean what we say. Sometimes we mean some of what we said, but some of it we didn't even mean it. We said it out of anger, out of desires, out of emotions, out of whatever else. So me as a receiver, when I receive what you said, and please practice this as a husband and wife or as a parent with your children, try to understand the words according to what they mean. What does it mean? It means double check. تبينوا. Again, the surah. فتبينوا. See clarity. So when your wife or your husband say something that you don't resonate with, you don't accept, don't understand it, means don't just take it a word by word, like if you're translating something, a word. No. Try to seek clarity. Maybe that's not what she meant. Maybe that's not what he meant. Maybe he meant the opposite. Maybe he meant those words, but don't take it seriously because maybe it's just out of anger or something else. This is just to make sure you are seeking the clarity. Can you see just one word in Quran, فَتَبَيِّنُوا? It means all of these things. So if you add to it حُسْنُ الظَّنِّ, means even if you think that's what they meant, but you say to yourself, well, I know because she's angry. It's fine, she's angry. He's angry. Maybe it's called حُسْنُ الظَّنِّ. And this quality, ikhwani, most of people don't have. Most of us don't have. And that's why successful people are always minority, by the way. Always. In any field, in any area in life, in business, in the deen, Allah said in the Quran, وَمَا أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ وَلَوْ حَرَصْتَ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. Imagine, even the deen. Allah saying to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, oh Muhammad, even if you do your best, even if you work so hard to convey Islam to people, most of them will not believe. Most of them. Allah said it. وَمَا أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ وَلَوْ حَرَصْتَ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. Don't even think that most of people. Why? Because most of people are always failure anyway. Even in business, even in family. Now most of marriages end in divorce. Failure. Why? Because that's the same thing. Because we don't have these basic attributes. We don't have sabr, patience. We don't have al-hilm. We don't have husn al-dhan. We have to take things to the extreme. We think bad about everything. Any word you say, I'm going to make a big problem from it. We're not making life easy, ikhwani and akhawati, brothers and sisters. And the only way to make our life easy and become part of these minority, those who are successful, the only time is when we start adopting these attributes, at-tabayyun, seeking clarity, al-i'dhar, making excuses. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam قال اتخذ لأخيك 70 عذرا. The Prophet said, make 70 excuses for your brother and sister. Means what you understand, don't follow what you understand. It's like a flood. Don't try to make excuses. No, maybe she didn't mean that. Maybe he didn't mean that. Definitely he didn't mean that. Definitely he meant something else. And start making excuses. When you start making excuses, your life is going to become much easier. And that's how the Prophet ﷺ succeeded. Within 23 years, he managed to change a nation. Take them from something to the opposite. Within 23 years. Why? Because he managed to inject these attributes in those people. So he made them better versions of themselves. As a believers, number one, then as a patient people. And Quran was doing this as well. As you see, a group of Sahaba made a mistake, straight away Quran came and changed their behavior. And they adopted that.